What's going on, everybody? Wilson here, your spiritual hype man. Super happy to be back, and we are back and running. Want to catch you guys up on what's been going on for the last couple months because it's been about 2 months, and so you can see that we are in a new location. We have finally bought the house that we wanted. It's funny because, okay, first of all, let's start with this. Let's start with this. I hope you're having a great day, and if you're not, just remember it's the thoughts in our heads. And all we got to do is figure out a way to change them in the moment or take your time with it, right? I've realized that, there's moments that what you're going through, you need to just stay in and be in to feel enough to then figure out what those actions are going to be, right? Like what you're going to do to move forward. So I hope you're having a good day, and just, again, remember, if it's not, it's just in our heads. So we got to figure out what those thoughts are, where they come from, and then how do we change them so that we can act and then do something differently. And if you guys have been listening to the podcast for the last 3 years, it nothing changes. Nothing changes really until it does, right? Until you understand what cycles you're going through. Now, there's certain things that you're not going to want to change because they do well, and you're doing well. But I think naturally there's always that progression of wanting to do more or wanting to get better. I think, right? And I think part of it is evolution. Part of it is part of the society that we live in, as far as, hey, there's more to have, there's more to do, there's more to accomplish, there's more to achieve. But I think that comes from innately from just our biochemistry of wanting to survive, right? But I think at some point there was a mix of, survival is in check. We got survival pretty much down, for hopefully 100 years. Um, but but that translates over to everything else in all other aspects, right? I think for most people. So, yeah, as you can see, we are in a beautiful backyard. Um, Once I stepped into this space, I like when we were looking for homes in the area. I Once I stepped into this space, I was like, I knew it. I just knew that the vibe, the lighting was right. And then once I stepped in the backyard, I was like, yeah, this is it. So we had to figure it out. The home actually came onto the market. It was under contract, and somehow, some way, that fell through. And then we were able to hop on it. Initially, I sent a initial negotiation that got rejected. But then we waited a little bit, and then came back, and they were ready to sell, and we were able to get in. So. That's why it's been, the last couple months has, outside of just buying a house, um, there's been quite a lot of, I would say ups and downs, but just more of the ebbs and flows of what life is, between ensuring that, uh, same thing, you get, the work part of it, the cash flow part of it, the bills part of it, like making sure there's enough money while you have to save for the house, and then all of a sudden the credit cards, and don't use the credit cards, and I would say what most of us are going through, outside of maybe a couple of us that, you know, invested in crypto early or something along those lines, are continuing to work there, right? But the goal is to continue, and that brings me back to that point. Is I feel like there's always an internal drive for most of us to do better or get better or have more, and I think that's okay. I think that's a good, um, it's a good sense of human behavior to have, because it just comes back down to, um, wanting to achieve the things that you want to achieve, right? So this was something that I wanted to achieve. Now I love the space. I love the freedom, the just the area. Like right now, it's cool, calm, and collected for me out here. But then looking around, it's like, okay, well, there's plenty of things that we want to do, and plenty of things that we want to, enhance and get better and transform. Um, so yeah, there's quite a bit of that going on. And so for the last couple of months, between clients, and the market, and having enough money to actually get in, and negotiations and traveling, we actually went to California for almost, I think it was almost 2 weeks. So shout out to my cousin. She had her first baby, so we were out there at the baby shower. Um, yeah, so it's been pretty hectic in a good way. but also I would say some trying times to just really like figure out, who am I as a person? How am I making decisions? And am I changing those things that you guys have heard about, like in the best way possible, so that way I don't react in my personal, sense of going nuts, going crazy, yelling, screaming, and just like reacting in a way, getting my emotions in check. A couple other things that have happened. I decided to take a step back from that networking group, BNI, and we made the decision that Patty would just, like, Patty and I were both in the group. We just made the decision to absorb it together, and then she would represent our company, and she'd be the one out there marketing and, bringing her spiritual hypeness energy of her own to the meeting and things like that. And so far, so good. She's done really well. I think the difference between Patty and I, there's two differences, and this is, I think, part of the episode is a catch up, and part of the episode is like whatever lessons I've interpreted from. Hopefully they hit home. Hopefully they hit you. And again, it's been a minute, so I hope you guys are patient here with with what we got going on. Okay, so back to Patty. So I realized that I, as the individual, like myself, and I think this is a good question for yourself, like for the person listening, for you listening, it's just what type of individual are you, right? Like I think we have, as an individual, we have different levels of who we are, depending on. Now, I believe in energies and astrology and cycles of you know vibrations and things like that. I also do believe that you can change and you can change your behavior in certain areas and things like that. So I think it comes down to just really figuring out what type of individual you are at what time of situation you're in, right? So we talk about life in terms of just an accumulation of situations and decisions, but it really does become, who are you, that person, in which situation, and then what are you deciding to do about it, right? So for me, I know as an individual, and I've done this too, like I've charted my birth natal chart as far as like birth date. Like if you haven't looked up or sought your birth natal chart, I would encourage you to do so, because it's pretty fun. For the most part, like not for the most part, like 99.999% for me, it was spot on. You just need to know your birth date, your time of birth, and then location, and then that gives you a chart based on the astrology at that moment. Um, and it just kind of breaks down, you know, you as the individual in terms of like astrological denominations, I guess. But pretty spot on for me. So either way, I've realized, whether it was through that and just reinforcement of that like I can't, like, it's very hard for me to stay in one spot for the longest, and then based on just being very uh like high emotion with individuals, like having that ability to like absorb energy from people, take energy on, like want to get people hyped up and better and all that stuff. Just being the spiritual hype man, really. um I've realized that like every Thursday it was a very like frantic high, or a very frantic low. Like I was either really into it, like, yeah, let's, like, what's up everybody, da da da, or I was just like in my own head, like absorbing everybody's energy, or like thinking I'm absorbing everybody's energy, and then figuring out that, like, I'm thinking, like, is this person upset at me? Why haven't they sent me, like, why haven't they emailed me? How come I haven't got a referral? Like, did I mess them up? Like, it was just a lot for me as far as who I am and how I am as the individual in certain situations like that. And so that was like an aha moment coming together. I was like, okay, I need to I need to just take a step back to be able to take my moments that I need, take my time back, and be able to work on these things outside of BNI that I think need my attention currently in my current situation. And Patty is very good at, basically cutting that stuff off, and not really, not not really giving a shit. Like, not in a bad way, but in a way that she's got an object. Oh, excuse me. she's got an objective. Like when she has the lighter, I was trying to light these butane things and I touched my mouth. She's got an objective, and her objective is what it is, and all she wants to do is just go get that objective done because that's the way she operates. And so the point here is just understanding who you are in each situation, and whether it's family or business, who needs to be in the position that operates best in those situations, right? So I operate really good in that type of situation occasionally, right? So like for me, if BNI was like, I don't know, once a month or maybe every other month, like that's where I would shine because I would get enough of what I need and give enough what I need without absorbing any extra. But because it's not in that pattern or not that situation, I realized that Patty is the best person in that role because she's about going to get that objective done. She's good about relationships. However, it's not her first and foremost thing that she brings with her. Like if something happens or somebody said something or like she's taking it in the way or like she can be considering it, but like after she's done with it or considering that, like then it's done to her and she doesn't think about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like she's very good at like just kind of cutting it and be like, all right, on to the next. Whereas I am different and I absorb it and stick with it. And sometimes, 3:00 in the morning, right before I go to bed, I'm like, oh, why didn't that person, X, Y, and Z. So, and obviously I'm working with that. I'm working on that. And I've worked on that for the longest. I've gotten a lot better for it. But the way that I operate does not align with that. So I realized that. And it was a bit sad in the first 2 weeks because, you make relationships. And it's not like those relationships are gone. I'm still talking to most of the people in BNI. But it's like a give and take of like, man, the relationships, but I've also taken my Thursdays back where now I'm working or I'm meeting, and actually I'm taking those Thursdays to actually have like a meeting day. So whether I go and meet with people from BNI or potential clients or anybody else, that becomes like a full stack day where I still get the connected emotion, but I'm also not in my own head on that extra layer of like, we can call it bullshit. Sometimes like right now I want to call it bullshit because you're in your own head. But I identified. So that's a point where, for you as the individual, like where are you, what situations, and where are you in what situation do you want to be or do you not want to be in, based on the type of individual that you are, right? And can you take time to really like figure out, does this situation and myself in this type of mood or person like make the most sense for me in terms of what I'm doing? And I think that's the point. So, we started with a little bit of a ramble, and it's just been a lot. Like I want to catch everybody up on everything we've been going on. So I got a couple more episodes coming up. I'm going to talk about a certain situation out in California that I saw, and that just sort of ties in a couple of things as far as how to think about things. What else? I got a couple episodes coming. We have a special guest coming up. We got a couple special guests too that we're just editing the episode and we'll get to. But again, between the laundry, dude, we moved in. Okay, so this will be the last thing. We moved in between moving in, getting out of the house, doing what we need to do at the move out, and then coming back, like continuing to, all right, wait, hold on. I just got to remember my time frame. My time frame is we were out in California, right, with for my cousin's baby shower. We were out there filming for a client, Rosa. Shout out to Rosa, West Coast Sweat. Got an episode coming out on that as well. We were out there filming, shooting, having a good time, seeing my cousin, working with her friend who became another client. Shout out to Chandler's Roofing. Those guys are awesome out in California as well. So between all of that, we're still in the middle of like negotiating the house, like doing a bunch of things for the house. Then we got home. Then we finally closed on the house. Friends, family. Then now we had like 2 weeks to kind of get out. And between that, the business, like there's a lot of stuff going on, and so I just want to give you the heads up. That's the time frame. We've been in the house officially. I think it's not even a week yet. I don't think it's been a week. Maybe it's been a week almost. But yeah, there's a lot going on. I appreciate you guys for listening. We hit 101 countries. First of all, it was 84, 96, 101. So thank you guys for all of that. I appreciate you. Keep crushing it. I'm going to, like I said, promise, working on the website, working on how we can get connected as a community. Feel free to follow us on Instagram. Check us out at ncyd.com. And don't forget, nothing changes until you do. Peace.